Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I am going to be showing you how I create this little button loop for the Claremont Mitten pocket. So I've got to the point where I have cut my yarn and I have woven it with a tapestry needle through the remaining live stitches, and I'm just drawing that through. And then I'm going to repeat that again. So I'm going to go back through all, in my case, 11 of those stitches. Just for an extra bit of security. And then I'm going to tighten that up. So I've drawn all those stitches together nice and tight, and you can see it creates this lovely little flower at the very, very top of the mitten pocket. And it's this flower that we're sort of creating the loop based upon. So we're going to bring our yarn up on one side of it, make a loop and go down on the other side, and then repeat that again. So we've got two little loops of yarn, the same length, just sort of going across the top of that flower. So we're coming up here, and then I'm going to go down through the stitch. You can see I'm just going into the stitch below that flower on the opposite side, and I'm going to pull it down like this. And then I have come back up through to the right side of my work in exactly the same spot as last time, and I'm going to go down again in exactly the same spot as last time. Now, obviously, the loop that you make in terms of size wants to correspond to the kind of button that you're going to use. And my buttons are 12 millimeters, so they're on the smaller side. So I'm just going to use my little finger to kind of give me something to tug against. So I know that both my pieces of yarn, both my loops of yarn, I should say, are the same size. And I can sort of tell by looking that that is the right kind of size for my button. Obviously, if you're going to have a much bigger button, you can make the loop much, much bigger. Once you've created the two loops and they're the size that you want, it's worth just having a little look on the inside of your pocket and checking that all you've got going on the inside is just one little strand of yarn going across the underside of your flower, because it is quite easy when you're sort of doing the coming up, going down, coming up, going down, to catch a stitch like this and find that your working yarn has actually been drawn through a stitch and is a bit wonky. So just quickly check that you've done that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come once again back up that same hole so that your yarn is on the right side of your pocket again. And this is when we're going to start doing the buttonhole stitch. So to work a buttonhole stitch, you are going to come through the middle of that loop with your tapestry needle. I'm going to zoom in again. So you're coming through the middle of the loop. You're going to pull the yarn nearly all the way through, but not quite. And then you're going to take your needle and you're going to go through the loop that you've created by doing that. And then you're going to pull. And then you're going to repeat that. So you're going to come through the loop that doing that creates, and pull. And that is your stitch, and you're just going to keep going all the way around the pocket, repeating that process. And you are pulling that quite nice and snug. So you're coming from the back of the loop towards yourself through the loop, and then the loop that creates next to your loop, you're going from you through to the back, and you're just then giving that a nice little tug, and you're just going to keep going. And then when you get to the end, you just want to tug on things a little bit like this, just to make sure they're really nice and densely packed in and there are not going to be any gaps. and then I will show you what you're going to do when you've completed going around the whole loop. Once you've finished doing that across the whole of your loop and you're sure there's no scope for one extra little stitch, then you're going to go back down in exactly the same position as you did before. And then you are just going to secure your yarn to the inside of your pocket as you would with any end, and trim your yarn. To secure those top stitches and create that little flower and then create this loop, it took me about 25 centimeters or 10 inches of yarn. I originally cut my yarn to 100 centimeters just so that I could measure for you to tell you exactly how much that used. So I would say, you know, if you cut yourself a 50 centimeter tail, then it's not going to be cumbersome to work with and you're going to have plenty of yarn. So I am done. And then all that's left to do is stitch the little button down here at the base of the first cable and my pocket will be complete. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that was helpful.